By the time she landed, the deal was already killing him. Commander Ilara Vance strode through the docking bay of the Zynex flagship with the kind of controlled fury that made soldiers clear her path. The air shimmered with plasma exhaust, mech loaders clanged in the distance, but all she saw was the contract burning on her wrist display, glowing like a brand. One human asset, bound for the Empire's elite cadet corps, non-compliance punishable by termination of bond. The asset waited at the end of the hangar, tall, bare-handed, and smiling. "Name?" she demanded. He tilted his head. "Ryan Hale, human, apparently your property now." His voice was untrained, unmilitary, but it hit her nerves like static. He didn't bow, didn't salute, just looked at her as though hierarchy were an optional hallucination. Around them, Zynex cadets whispered, armor creaking as they struggled to lift the training weights meant to test kinetic dampers, the same ones Ryan lifted casually with one hand. The metal disc gleamed, nearly 300 kilos of compressed alloy. He tossed it once, caught it again, as if gravity were a rumor. Her jaw tightened. "You think this is a game?" He grinned. "Everything's a game until someone loses." A murmur spread through the alien trainees. Ilara's empire prized obedience above life, but here stood a creature who obeyed nothing, not even the weight of physics. She thumbed the contract field on her gauntlet. "You'll address me as Commander." "Commander," he repeated, slow, deliberate, as though tasting the word. "Say that again, slowly." Her eyes narrowed. "You enjoy pain?" "Only when it's shared." A nearby cadet hissed in their native clicks. "Primitive flesh cannot survive the vault trials." Ryan's smile vanished. "Try me." Ilara should have stopped him. Instead, she wanted to see what he'd do next. Humans weren't supposed to be part of the Empire. As elite. Too volatile. Too emotional. But he'd been signed under her name. A punishment. A test. And maybe, she realized, a temptation. The cadet lunged first, powered armor whirring. Ryan sidestepped, hand darting out, not fast, just precise. The alien's exosuit screeched as he redirected its energy field, flipping 2 tons of composite plating with a single twist. The bay fell silent. Ilara exhaled slowly. "You weren't cleared for combat." "Wasn't planning on fighting," Ryan said, dusting his hands. "Just making a point." "What point?" He looked at her like she should already know. "That control isn't strength. Choice is." Something shifted in her. Something she'd buried under years of command. He wasn't supposed to sound right. "Follow me," she ordered, turning sharply toward the interior corridors. He followed, barefoot steps echoing against the alloy deck. Inside the briefing room, the contract hologram hovered between them, projecting its clauses in cold light. He stood inches away, heat radiating like proximity itself was a rebellion. "You signed it?" she asked. He nodded. "Didn't have much choice. Earth's debts, you know how it goes. One life for a generation's freedom. So you volunteered to be owned." His smile was tired now. "You call it ownership. I call it leverage." She met his gaze. "Leverage against what?" He leaned closer. "You." The air crackled. For a heartbeat, Ilara forgot rank, forgot species, forgot that this was a contract forged in coercion. All she saw was the flicker of defiance, the kind that made empires bleed. Then the lights dimmed. Red alarms streaked the room. "Solar surge incoming!" barked a voice over comms. "All crew, secure the vault perimeter." Ilara spun toward the door. "The vault's containment shields." "Failing," he finished, reading her eyes. "How bad?" "Enough to vaporize this deck." He grabbed two. He contracted from the hollow, crumpling its projection like mist. "Guess we're in this together, Commander." She almost smiled. "Don't call me that when we're dying." He did anyway. "Yes, Commander." They ran. The corridors shook, stormlight bleeding through the observation panels as plasma winds hit the hull. Cadets scrambled toward shelters. Machinery screamed as systems overloaded. Ryan kept pace easily, even as gravity buckled. His balance was uncanny, almost unnatural. "You've got a containment field?" he yelled over the roar. "Manual override in the vault," she shouted back. "It's sealed under cadet levels. Then we go through them." "Impossible." He caught her wrist mid-stride. "Everything's impossible until one hand does it first." She hated the thrill that line gave her. They descended the magnetic lift into the vault sector, where the air pulsed with heat. The containment doors glowed molten red. Inside, a crystal core surged, raw storm energy trapped in flux. "Shields are gone," Alara muttered. "We need to stabilize or eject." Ryan stepped forward. "You stabilize. I'll lift." Her head snapped toward him. "That's not weight you can fight. It's a live reactor." He smiled faintly. "Good thing I'm bad at following orders." Before she could stop him, he crossed the barrier, skin lighting up with the pulse of alien energy. The cadets who'd failed to hold the load earlier watched from behind the shield, wide-eyed. His muscles trembled, veins lit blue under the glow. Every instinct in her screamed to pull him back, but the core steadied, power lines stopped shaking. When the readings leveled, he turned toward her, smirking through the burn. "See? One hand." The vault held. The storm outside dimmed to a whisper, but Alara's pulse refused to calm. "Why didn't you let go?" she asked quietly. He looked through the heat haze. "Because you were watching." The vault smelled of ionized air and burning pride. Cadets whispered prayers to their ancestors, while the human, still glowing faintly, leaned against the reactor wall, like a man who'd merely stretched after a workout. Alara stalked toward him, fury and awe locked in a duel beneath her skin. "You could have killed every living thing on this ship." He tilted his head, grinning through a sheen of sweat. "But I didn't. You're welcome." She hated how her pulse jumped at that grin. "You violated 12 Imperial safety codes." "Good thing I'm not Imperial." Her jaw clenched. "You're under my command. You are Imperial now." He straightened, slow and deliberate, closing the distance until she could feel the heat radiating off him. "Then maybe the Empire needs a little human problem-solving." The way he said human made the word dangerous, like a weapon and a confession. The alarms faded, leaving an eerie silence that only the storm outside dared to fill. Through the viewport, she saw the plasma tempest swirl, a living aurora stretching across the void. It reminded her of everything they couldn't control. Ryan followed her gaze. "Beautiful, isn't it? Destruction that looks like art." Alara folded her arms. "You think chaos is beautiful?" He shrugged. "Only when it reminds control who's boss." Her lips curved before she could stop them. "You talk like you've never lost anything." "I lose every day," he said softly. "That's why I keep winning." The room felt smaller, the air thicker. The contract field still flickered faintly between them, a tether neither of them wanted to admit existed. Before she could answer, the vault's comm crackled alive. "Commander Vance, report." The storm surge triggered an external breach. Atmospheric layers destabilized. Containment will fail again within the hour. Ilara's eyes darted to the control board. "They're going to eject the vault." Ryan frowned. "With us in it?" "Standard protocol," she muttered. "Containment before casualty." He barked a laugh that wasn't amusement. "That's your MP's motto, huh? Trade lives for rules. Rules keep order." He leaned close, voice low. "Rules keep fear in charge." For a heartbeat, they just stared, two opposite philosophies caught in the glow of an unstable star. Then she tore her gaze away. "We need a plan. The lift's offline. Auxiliary route through cadet levels might still be open." He grinned. "Then we run again. Not like last time. If you disobey even one order." He raised his hands. "Relax, Commander. I'll be your obedient human." She didn't believe a word of it. They crossed into the cadet corridor, where gravity flickered and light stuttered. The young aliens stood at attention, shame heavy in their postures. Their eyes followed Ryan with the wary reverence reserved for myths. One stepped forward, voice trembling. "Human, teach us how you carried the weight." Ryan paused. "You don't carry it. You become the thing strong enough to lift it." Alara frowned. "You think strength is transformation?" "Isn't everything?" he said. "Pain changes. Choice defines. That's the trick." Her empire would call that heresy. But for the first time in years, her chest felt something like belief instead of duty. They reached the maintenance hatch. Alara keyed in her command code. The door buzzed. Denied. Access revoked, she muttered. Protocol lockdown. Ryan peered at the keypad. You sure about that? Before she could stop him, he pulled a knife from his belt. Primitive, metal, human. He jammed it into the access seam, twisting until sparks flew. The door hissed open. She stared. That's not possible. Zynex locks are neuro-coded. He winked. Guess they forgot to code for stubborn. Or suicidal. Same difference where I'm from. The tunnel beyond the hatch was a wind tunnel of pressure changes. Sirens blared, red mist swirling. They moved in sync now. His instincts, her precision. When a pipe burst above, he shielded her without thought, taking the hit that would have burned through her armor. Ryan! He gritted, his teeth, smoke rising from his arm. Still got the other one. You idiot, that was plasma. Yeah, he said, voice raw. Hot stuff. She bit back a laugh. Wrong moment, wrong place, but it came anyway. He laughed too, breathless. Two soldiers joking under the weight of dying stars. They reached the final bulkhead. Beyond it, the breach zone roared, metal torn open to the storm. Manual override, she said. We can seal it, but one of us has to stay outside. He didn't hesitate. I'll do it. No. Your people need a commander. And you think I don't need you? The words escaped before she realized what she'd said. His expression softened. Didn't say that. Her hand trembled on the lever. There has to be another way. He leaned close enough that the stormlight reflected in his eyes. There always is. But sometimes it looks like sacrifice. Then the hull screamed. The breach widened, vacuum tearing at them. He shoved her backward into safety, slamming the bulkhead as the lock engaged. Ryan! She shouted through the intercom. He smiled through the viewport. One hand braced against the wind, muscles straining against forces that should have crushed him. Don't break yet, he said, voice fading under the roar. We're just getting started. The hull sealed. Silence followed. Terrifying. Absolute. Alara pressed her palm to the glass where his had been. You stubborn, beautiful fool. And then she saw it. The faint glow of a human silhouette walking straight into the storm. The storm ate sound. The view beyond the viewport was nothing but swirling blue fire and shards of debris tumbling through lightless gravity. Ilara's voice didn't carry, but she spoke anyway, whispering into static as if it could reach him. Rian, answer me! No reply. Only the hum of emergency systems and her heartbeat pounding through her armor. She should have returned to command. Irrational part of her screamed it. Protocol, rank, duty. But something older, rawer, burned louder. The memory of his smile as he said, We're just getting started. Alara pulled the manual override on the hatch. The command codes protested. She overrode them. If he was still alive in that storm, she'd find him, or die proving why humans terrified the galaxy. The outer door gave way to chaos. Her magnetic boots barely held as she stepped into the breach corridor. Metal screamed overhead. Plasma wind clawed at her suit. Then she saw him. Rian was hanging from a broken strut, one hand gripping a live power conduit, the other pressed against a breach field. Lightning danced along his arm. Beautiful. Terrible. Rian! She shouted. He turned his head just enough for her to see the grin. Told you I had another hand. Idiot, she breathed, crawling forward along the tilted deck. You'll fry yourself. Wouldn't be the first time a human did something stupid for a commander. Don't flirt while dying. He laughed, even as sparks tore across his chest plate. That's kind of my thing. She reached him and slammed her gauntlet into the emergency tether port on his belt. The magnetic latch bit with a clang. Let go! Not yet, he said, tightening his grip. Pressure's still dropping. If I release too soon. She didn't let him finish. She pressed her helmet against his, visor to visor. Her breath fogged the glass between them. I'm your commanding officer. That's an order. He met her gaze. Then you better be ready to live with it. He let go. The tether yanked both of them backward into the corridor as the breach collapsed behind them, fire sucking into vacuum. The bulkhead slammed shut, leaving them sprawled in the dim red glow of backup power. Ilara ripped off her helmet. "You insane!" Ryan coughed, steam rising from his skin. "You're welcome. Again." She shoved him, but her hand lingered. "You should be dead." "Maybe later. Kinda busy breathing right now." She tried not to smile, failed miserably. "You saved the volley." "Nay, again." "Yeah, well," he said, voice weak but steady. "Someone's got to make humans look good." They lay there for a long moment, two survivors in a ship full of rules, bound by a contract neither believed in. Then the intercom hissed. "Commander Vance, report. The vault is secure but unstable. Recommend immediate evacuation." She looked down at him. "You can walk?" "Define walk. Move, or I leave you." He groaned, sitting up. "Harsh, Commander. I like it." Together they limped toward the escape corridor, alarms echoing like distant thunder. The ship trembled around them, gravity cutting in and out. Every flicker of light cast a new shadow across his face, half angel, half apocalypse. At the junction to the evac pods, a squad of cadets stood guard. Their leader, a four-eyed Zynex lieutenant, stepped forward. "Commander, orders are to leave the human. He is expendable." Ilara didn't blink. "He's under my command. My orders override." "Your orders risk the Empire's property." Her voice sharpened. "Then consider me defective." The lieutenant hesitated, mandibles twitching. "You would defy doctrine for him?" Ryan leaned against the wall, smirking. "She's got good taste." Ilara raised her pulse pistol. "Stand down." The cadets backed away. Authority was one thing, conviction was another. And Ilara's conviction could have carved through hull plating. They entered the pod bay, lights flickering over rows of sealed capsules. She keyed in coordinates for the outer moon, the only safe exit vector. Ryan slid into the co-pilot seat, wiping soot from his forehead. "You sure you want me on your ship?" "It's an escape pod, not a ship." "Feels like one when you're running away together." She didn't answer. The engines roared, and the pod launched into the storm. Outside, the world was light and death, arcs of plasma tracing their descent like fire from gods. Rian La ucked through the chaos, exhilarated. "Humans call this weather." "Humans are insane," she muttered. "Exactly." The pod bucked violently, alarms wailing. "Stabilizers failing," she shouted. "On it!" He reached under the console, ripped out a control relay and jammed two wires together. The pod steadied with a hiss. "How did you—" He grinned. "Earth tech, Empire tech. Same principle. Hit it till it listens." For the first time, she laughed. Not the polite sound of command, but something wild, real. When the storm broke, they fell through pale clouds and crashed into the dunes of an uncharted moon. The pod skidded, metal shrieking, until silence swallowed everything. Ilara blinked, chest heaving. "Alive?" Ryan groaned beside her. "Mostly. I think my spleen's arguing with gravity." She smiled, leaning back against the cracked panel. "Welcome to nowhere." He turned his head toward her. "Could be worse." "How?" "You could still be pretending not to like me." Her laugh was soft, tired. "Keep talking like that, and I'll court-martial you." He grinned. "Worth it." Outside, thunder rolled across the alien sky, echoing like distant drums. "Commander," he said quietly, "if we make it out of this, what happens to the contract?" She met his eyes. "Maybe we rewrite it." The moon's night was a bruise of violet light and metallic dust. The crash site smoldered behind them, scattering sparks into the wind. Ilara and Ryan moved through the dunes like ghosts, their comlinks dead, armor cracked, contract still glowing faintly on her wrist, as if mocking survival itself. They'd set up a small camp among jagged obsidian ridges. The stars overhead burned too close, like the universe was leaning in to watch them. Ryan crouched by the fire, feeding shards of hull plating into the heat until they shimmered red. "Remind me," he said, voice low, "why we're not calling for pickup." "Because the Empire doesn't rescue liabilities," she said flatly. He poked the fire with a piece of metal. So I'm a liability now? She looked at him. You're a paradox. He smiled. That sounds way sexier than liability. Don't test me. I think I already did. The silence that followed wasn't comfortable. It was charged. The kind that hums right before a thunderstrike. A low rumble rolled across the dunes. Not thunder, but engines. Ilara tensed. Drop ships. 2 clicks east. Ryan stood, eyes narrowing. Empire? Too early for rescue. Must be retrieval. They're not coming to save us. No, she said, loading her pistol. They're coming to erase evidence. Ryan flexed his burned hand. Guess we're evidence now. They took cover behind the ridge as the ships descended. Sleek Zynex crafts, black mirrors with claws for landing gear. Troopers disembarked, their armor gleaming silver in the starlight. Ilara whispered, "Containment squad, if they see you alive," he cut her off. "Then they'll try to fix that. Rian," he looked at her, grin fading, "you don't have to protect me. I'm not protecting you. I'm protecting us." The word hung between them. Unexpected, electric. She motioned to the left flank, gesturing silently. He nodded, slipping into the shadows like he'd trained for it his whole life. But humans weren't supposed to move like that. Fluid, silent, precise. When the first trooper neared, Rian dropped behind him, disarmed the rifle, and knocked him unconscious in a single movement. No hesitation. No wasted energy. Ilara took the other 2 with pulse shots to their visors. The third one fell, twitching, the scent of ozone thick in the air. Ryan exhaled. That was weirdly fun. You're enjoying this too much. Humans cope with chaos by flirting with it. Stop quoting philosophy. You started it. They scavenged supplies and moved deeper into the ridge. The dropship stayed grounded, scanning. Ryan adjusted his scavenged armor plate. Winsa. Change. Ilara noticed the tremor in his hand. You're injured. Just nerves misfiring, reactor exposure earlier. You need medgel. He shrugged. You offering? She sighed, kneeling beside him. Her fingers brushed his skin as she applied the gel. The contact sent a jolt through both of them, sharper than any plasma surge. His eyes found hers. You sure this is regulation, Commander? I'm improvising. You're getting good at that. When she finished, he caught her wrist gently. You keep saving me. Why? Because no one else will. He smiled softly. That's not an answer. That's a confession. Before she could respond, the ground shook. A deep hum rippled through the valley, the sound of something ancient waking. What now? She muttered. The air shimmered ahead, light bending into a translucent wall of energy. Runes glowed faintly along its curve, alien, elegant, wrong. Ryan stared. A field generator? No. A veil. What's a veil? Old Zynex tech. Separates dimensions. Seals what shouldn't exist. He smirked. And we're going through it, aren't we? She hesitated. If we don't, we die here. Then lead the way, Commander. They stepped through the veil together. Light fractured, sound inverted, and the world changed. The dunes vanished, replaced by a forest of glass trees and liquid sky. Gravity pulsed in waves. It was beautiful and terrifying. A realm between realities. Ryan staggered. I think my brain just rebooted. Focus, she said, though her voice trembled too. We're inside the veil. Energy signatures here could disrupt time perception. He squinted at her. You're saying we could be here for minutes? Or years? Exactly. Romantic. Tragic. Same thing, depending on who you're stuck with. Her breath caught. You talk too much. You think too much. A shimmer rippled across the sky, images flickering like memories. Rian saw flashes of himself, lifting the vault core, holding her hand, standing against an empire. Ilara, he whispered, it's showing us. Showing what? What we could become. Then his image changed. He was carrying something small, cradled gently. A heartbeat echoed. Her eyes widened. Don't, he said quietly. Not yet. The vision dissolved, leaving only the hum of the veil and the throb of her pulse. "You saw it too," she said. He didn't deny it. "Maybe it's not prophecy. Maybe it's possibility. You think we can rewrite what's coming?" He met her gaze. "Humans don't follow rules, Alara. We rewrite them." For the first time, she smiled without armor. "Then let's start with this one." The veil's glow dimmed to a twilight hue, colors bending around them like molten glass. Time here felt wrong, slower, heavier, as if every breath cost a memory. Alara pressed a palm against a floating shard of light. It rippled under her touch, revealing fractured reflections, the Empire's flagships, her own face, Rian's silhouette, always beside hers. "It's recording us," she murmured. Ryan stepped closer, the shimmer painting his skin in shifting blue. "Then let's give it a show worth remembering." She shot him a look. "You never take anything seriously." "Wrong," he said, tone changing. "I just don't take fear seriously." A pause. The sound of the veil pulsed between them, like a heartbeat that wasn't theirs. They'd walked for what felt like hours or seconds when the ground below shifted, the glass trees bent inward, forming an archway that hummed with recognition. Alara froze. "This is impossible. The veil shouldn't respond to organic signatures." "Maybe it likes us." "No," she said softly. "It's responding to you." Ryan frowned. "To me? Human DNA shouldn't resonate with Zynex tech unless—" She stopped herself, eyes narrowing. "Unless someone built you to." The temperature between them dropped. "What are you implying?" he asked quietly. "I'm implying that no human should have survived reactor exposure. Or Dienthal. If did a containment core bare-handed, or made a veil respond like that." He stepped closer. "So now you think I'm some kind of experiment?" "I think," she said, hand tightening on her weapon, "the Empire doesn't send random Terrans into my command without a reason." His jaw clenched. "And you think I knew?" "Did you?" For a heartbeat, neither spoke. The veil hissed softly, as if savoring their doubt. Finally, Rian sighed. "Back on Earth, they said the contract was military exchange. Train under alien command, earn planetary credits. I didn't ask questions. I needed the deal." "And if they lied?" "Then we both did." He turned away, fists curling. The archway before them pulsed brighter, reacting to his anger. Light cracked across the ground, revealing stairs descending into something vast. Alara drew in a breath. "A gateway." Rian's voice was low. "You still trust me enough to go first?" She met his eyes, seeing exhaustion, guilt, and something else. Faith. "No," she said. "I trust what you do when you shouldn't." That earned the ghost of a smile. "Fair trade." They descended. The stairwell spiraled downward into a chamber humming with alien geometry. An impossible machine of mirrors and pulses, like a heart made of lightning. In the center, a single pedestal glowed with data streams looping through the air. Alara approached, scanning it. "This is older than the Empire." Rian frowned. "Then what's it doing locked under their control?" She traced a glyph. It translated instantly on her visor. "Veil protocol. Host interface required." "Host interface?" Ryan echoed. "Sounds fun." "It's fatal." "Still fun. Don't—" But he was already reaching out. The light swallowed him before she could stop it. His body lifted from the ground, suspended in the energy field. Symbols danced across his skin like living fire. His scream was half pain, half wonder. "Ryan!" she shouted, rushing forward. The field resisted, pushing her back. The entire chamber shook. Then his voice cut through the roar. "Ara, listen, it's not a weapon." "What?" "It's memory. They used it to erase wars, erase people. The Empire's been—" His words broke off, drowned in the surge. The light shattered, throwing her across the floor. When she looked up, he was kneeling amid fading energy, trembling. His eyes glowed faint gold, veil light woven into his pupils. Alara crawled to him. "Rian?" He looked at her as if seeing her through 1,000 lifetimes. "They tried to make a weapon. Instead, they made a witness." "What did you see?" "Everything," he whispered. "Every lie, every erased world. And the Empire's next target, Earth." Her stomach dropped. "We have to warn them." He shook his head. They'll come for us first. The veil marked us both. Then we hide. He smiled faintly. Humans don't hide. We improvise. She touched his cheek, feeling the faint hum of power beneath his skin. You're burning up. Guess I've got too much truth in me. The veil pulsed again, responding to his heartbeat. Elara realized what it meant. It's inside you now. Looks like I'm carrying more than just rebellion, he murmured. Her breath hitched. What do you mean? His hand brushed her wrist, fingers trembling. It showed me a future. You. Me. A child. She stared at him. That's impossible. He smiled weakly. So was lifting the vault. For a moment, the galaxy seemed to hold its breath. Then the chamber alarm screamed. Empire trackers breaching the perimeter. Elara drew her weapon. We move now. Ryan nodded, forcing himself upright. You lead. I'll follow. You sure you can walk? Ask me again after I save your life. Outside, the veil pulsed like a heartbeat. Ancient. Watching. Waiting. The night air outside the veil was a metallic storm of heat and static. Elara could smell the ozone from orbital drop jets before she heard them. A wave of crimson light rippled across the dune. Zynex hunters. Ryan crouched beside her in the shadow of a fractured ridge. The glow from his eyes had dimmed to faint gold, but it still flickered when his pulse quickened. He looked at her, half grin, half grimace. You've got 5 seconds to convince me not to take the fight to them. You're not stable, she hissed. That power in you is the only reason we're not dead already. Her gaze flicked toward the horizon where the storm of engines approached. If we're captured, they'll extract what's inside you. You'll die screaming, and I'll watch. Then don't let them take me. The calm way he said it broke something in her. She swallowed the fear and loaded another cartridge into her blaster. You're infuriating. Yeah, he said softly, but you like it. The dropships landed, hatches opening like jaws. Dozens of armored Zynex troopers poured out, weapons locking onto the ridge. Over comms, a voice thundered, Commander Vance, by Imperial order, surrender the human experiment and the Veil core. Experiment. Elara's blood went cold. Ryan straightened beside her. Guess that confirms your theory? She wanted to deny it, to tell him he was more than some engineered thing, but the fury in her chest left no room for lies. They'll have to kill me first, she said. He smirked. That's the spirit. They moved as one, 2 shadows against the floodlights. Her blaster bolts ripped through the air. His hands glowed, drawing energy from the very storm that had nearly killed them. Lightning arced from his fingertips, tearing through metal and armor. Remind me to never play cards with you, Elara shouted over the din. You'd lose beautifully. A trooper lunged. Ryan caught the rifle mid-air, flipped it backward, and used the momentum to send the alien crashing into the sand. The storm above began to answer his rage, clouds coiling, energy bending toward him like he was the eye of a forming god. Ryan, she yelled, you can't control it. I'm not trying to. The lightning hit, blinding, white-hot. The entire ridge exploded in a shockwave that threw Elara backward. When the dust cleared, the troopers were gone. Their ships melted into slag. Ryan stood in the crater's center, smoke rising from his body. His voice was a rasp. Still human enough? She ran to him, grabbing his shoulders. You idiot, you'll burn yourself out. He smiled weakly. Better me than you. No, she snapped. Not this time. Her hands trembled as she pressed a stabilizer patch to his neck. The glow in his eyes flickered, steadied. He blinked up at her, dazed. You care too much. You feel too much. Guess that's why this works. She wanted to argue, to tell him this wasn't working, couldn't work. Instead, she found herself whispering, Don't die. He smiled. Can't. I still owe you a drink. They moved toward the wreckage of one of the dropships, scavenging what they could. The vessel's comm array was still intact, sparking intermittently. Elara crouched over it. If I can recalibrate this, we can transmit a scrambled signal, maybe reach the outer colonies. To warn them. To expose the Empire, she said. To tell them what they've been doing. Ryan knelt beside her, voice low. And what if the truth kills you? She looked up, eyes fierce. Then it kills me free. He stared for a long moment, then grinned faintly. Now you sound human. As she worked, the veil shimmered faintly behind them on the horizon. Its pulse echoed in Ryan's chest, syncing with his heartbeat. He looked down at his hand, faint light tracing his veins. It's not leaving, he murmured. What? The energy. It's growing. Her brow furrowed. Can you contain it? Not for long. Then we need to get off this rock before the Empire sends another wave. Or before I blow it up, he said, half joking. Ilara forced a smile. Let's aim higher than self-destruction. The comm crackled, a faint voice bleeding through the static. Unidentified signal. Is that Vance? Her heart jolted. Fleet Command, this is Commander Ilara Vance. Confirm identity. Signal weak. Coordinates received. Hold position for extraction. She glanced at Ryan. Rescue? Or a firing squad, he muttered. We'll find out soon enough. They waited as the night deepened. The storm above had quieted, leaving the hum of the veil like a lullaby. Ilara leaned back against the wreckage, exhaustion seeping through her armor. Ryan sat beside her, voice barely above a whisper. Back on Earth, they used to say storms are gods arguing over who gets to start over. And who wins? She asked. He smiled, eyes half-lidded. The one who remembers why they fought in the first place. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of ozone and coming dawn. Ryan, she said softly, when we get off this moon, what then? He didn't answer right away, just reached out, brushing a strand of hair from her face. Then we see if the galaxy can handle a little humanity. Dawn never truly came to that world, only a gradual easing of the dark. The rescue ship's silhouette cut across the horizon, sleek and black against the rising heat. It descended with an elegance that screamed empire. Ryan's gut twisted. You sure about this, Commander? Ilara's eyes stayed on the ship. I'm sure they'll expect obedience. Let's disappoint them. The hatch opened before the dust settled. A team of Imperial officers stepped out, polished, precise, emotionless. Their insignias glowed crimson. Internal Integrity Division, the Empire's secret police. The lead officer, a tall, silver-skinned Zynex with obsidian eyes, spoke through a voice filter that turned syllables into razors. Commander Ilara Vance, you are hereby relieved of duty and placed under investigation for treasonous collaboration with an experimental asset. Ryan muttered, Wow, that's fast service. The officer turned to him. And you, human specimen Ryan Hale, property of the Imperial Genetics Division, are to be contained and decommissioned. Ilara's blaster was in her hand before he finished the sentence. Over my dead body. The officer tilted his head. That can be arranged. His troops leveled their weapons, but before the first bolt fired, the air warped. Ryan's pulse quickened, and the veil's energy inside him surged. The ground trembled, light bleeding from his skin like dawn forced through flesh. Ryan, no, Ilara hissed. Not here. He clenched his fists, trying to hold it back. I'm not doing this on purpose. The officers faltered, their weapons crackling as their targeting systems failed. Static filled the air. Ryan staggered forward, the glow spreading from his chest outward. What's happening? Ilara shouted. The veil, he gasped. It's reacting to their energy fields, feeding off their hate. Then stop it. He laughed through the pain. That's like telling fire not to burn. The officer raised his weapon, but before he could fire, a wave of light exploded outward. The entire landing zone disintegrated into glass. The ship's hull bent inward like tin. When the light faded, only Ilara and Ryan remained standing, the others frozen mid-motion, suspended like statues of ash. Ilara stumbled toward him. Ryan, look at me. He did. Eyes pure gold now, irises gone. I think I broke reality again. You didn't break it, she said softly. You bent it. He sank to his knees. It's inside me, Ilara. The veil's not just memory anymore. It's alive. She knelt beside him, gripping his shoulders. Then we make it listen. He shook his head. You don't understand. It wants something. It's searching for a host strong enough to carry its origin. Her throat went dry. And it chose you. Or both of us, he whispered. It keeps showing me images, worlds being rewritten, histories erased, and always us. Her voice softened. Why us? He smiled faintly. Because we broke the first rule. What rule? Never fall for what you're meant to command. For a moment, time forgot how to move. The storm winds died. The ash figures around them shimmered and vanished, dissolving into starlight. Alara pressed her forehead against his. Then let's break another rule, he exhaled, trembling. Which one? Survive. She hauled him up, his weight more from exhaustion than gravity. They staggered toward the ridge, leaving the ruin behind. The Veil's pulse echoed in their bones, softer now, almost like a heartbeat sinking between two bodies. Halfway up, Rian stopped, clutching his chest. It's calling me back. You're not going. If I don't, it'll collapse. The energy's unstable. Her grip tightened. You think I care about the Empire's toy collapsing? Let it burn. He smiled. Spoken like a true human. She laughed bitterly. You taught me that. He turned to face the horizon, where the veil shimmered faintly. Ilara, if I can stabilize it, it could rewrite everything, erase the Empire's control, bring back what they destroyed, and kill you in the process. Maybe. But if it means freedom, she slapped him, voice shaking. Don't you dare make martyrdom sound noble. He blinked, stunned, then softly. You really don't want to lose me, do you? Her voice cracked. You're the only part of this war that feels alive. He reached up, brushing her cheek. Then promise me something. Anything. When I go back in there, don't stop believing humans can lift the impossible. Even if I'm gone. She swallowed hard. You're not gone until I say you are. He smiled, a tired human smile. Say that again, slowly. She almost laughed through tears. You blinked. I win. And then before she could stop him, he kissed her. Fierce, desperate, full of stormlight. It wasn't gentle. It was survival preta, ending to be love. When it broke, he whispered, Now you'll remember me. Before she could answer, he turned and walked back toward the veil. Every step shimmered with energy, each footprint glowing until it faded into light. The veil flared open to receive him. Ilara screamed his name, but the sound dissolved in the brilliance. Then, silence. The veil's glow dimmed to nothing. Only a single echo lingered on the wind. His voice, soft as thunder. Humans don't follow rules. We rewrite them. The veil collapsed in silence. Where light had stood, only shadow remained. A faint ripple across the sands that faded like breath on glass. Ilara fell to her knees. Her armor hissed from heat, palms bleeding where she'd tried to claw her way after him. The dawn broke properly this time, gold spilling across the horizon, indifferent and cruel. Rian, she whispered into the emptiness. No answer. Only the echo of what he'd said before the light consumed him. Humans don't follow rules. We rewrite them. The words pulsed in her mind like a heartbeat that wasn't hers. Then, faint, almost imperceptible, she felt it. A tremor beneath the surface. The veil wasn't gone. It was sleeping. She rose slowly, every movement aching. The Empire would come again. To collect what was left. To erase the witnesses. But they wouldn't find a broken commander. They'd find a storm. From the ridge, she watched the wreckage of the Imperial ship crumble into dust. She activated her wrist beacon and redirected its signal, not to the Empire's fleet, but to the outer colonies. This is Commander Ilara Vance, she said, voice low but steady. If you can hear me, you are not alone. The Empire has lied to you. The veil exists, and humanity is not finished. The transmission sent, she deactivated the beacon and stared into the wind. Now come get me, she whispered, daring the universe to answer. Hours passed. The heat climbed. She scavenged what she could. Rations, an old pulse rifle, a half-burned map screen. The world around her shimmered in heat mirage. Yet the veil's pulse remained, soft, steady, like a heartbeat buried beneath glass. Then, a whisper, not from the comms, from inside her head. Ilara. She froze. Rian? The wind carried laughter, faint, frayed, but his. "Not gone," the voice said, "just somewhere between." Her knees buckled. "I told you not to play hero. I told you I'm bad at following orders." Tears blurred her vision, and she didn't care. "Where are you?" "Everywhere the veil touches. I'm holding it back, rewriting what they tried to erase." She clenched her fists. "You can't hold it forever." A soft pause. "Then you'll have to come get me." The connection faded, leaving her heart pounding. She looked at the horizon again. The veil shimmered faintly in the distance, like a curtain of memory waiting to be reopened. "Don't tempt me," she murmured. But she was already planning, already thinking, already feeling. Weeks passed. The Empire declared the mission lost. They sent retrieval crews, but the reports were scrubbed. No mention of Rian, no mention of a veil. Just an accident. Ilara Vance didn't return to command. The Empire called it desertion. The colonies called it freedom. Rumors spread, whispers of a rogue commander leading strikes against the Zynex fleets, of a human storm that appeared where oppression rooted deepest. They said her eyes glowed faint gold when the fighting started, and that she laughed like thunder. Some said she was hunting for a ghost. They were half right. On the edge of the outer rim, in a system the Empire forgot, a storm began to form, not from clouds, but from the thin space between realities. Static lightning carved her name into the void. Vance. Inside the storm, voices mirrored, fragments of memory and light. And within that chaos, Ryan's shape began to coalesce. Not body, not soul, but something new. A synthesis of human defiance and the veil's endless consciousness. He remembered everything. The hangar, her defiance, the contract that started it all. "Choice is strength," he'd told her once. Now, he finally understood. When the lightning cracked again, his form flickered, half light, half man. "Almost there," he whispered into the storm. "Almost home." Back on the moon's surface, Ilara stood atop the ridge, scanning the storm with a small makeshift receiver pulsing in her hand. She smiled when the signal blinked, faint but real. "Found you," she whispered. The wind rose, lifting the edges of her cloak. She holstered her weapon, eyes on the swirling light. "You wanted me to rewrite the rules," she said softly. "Let's start with death." And with that, she stepped into the storm. Light swallowed her, and for a heartbeat the galaxy paused, as if watching two impossibilities reunite. Then, in that eternal brightness, two voices spoke in unison, quiet but undeniable. "We lift what others call impossible." In the aftermath, the Empire's archives recorded a single anomaly, a storm pattern that moved with purpose, crossing systems and vanishing beyond mapped space. The soldiers who witnessed it swore they heard laughter in the thunder. Others swore they heard a woman whisper, "Stay close, little storm." Somewhere beyond the veil, two pulses beat as one. And the universe, vast, indifferent, eternal, learned what it meant when humans refused to break.